Hello, greetings to every one of you and welcome to today's class. We are going to be talking on the topic political parties. So in talking about political parties today, we are going to be this is going to be the lesson outline. We'll first start by defining what's a political party. We'll look at the origin of political parties. We'll discuss the main difference between a political party and a pressure group. Then we'll look at the functions of a political party within a state. We'll also look at the type of political parties that exist. We'll look at the struggle for political powers by political parties, especially during election. Then we'll look at the case of Cameroon and the way forward. And after that, I'm going to give you past questions, past conclusion on the topic political parties. All right, so let's begin. What is a political party? A political party is simply a group of organized persons. A group of organized persons who share similar ideas, goals, and values, and are aiming to acquire and exercise political powers. So a political party is a group of organized persons who have as objective to acquire and to exercise political powers. So at a point we're going to be looking at the difference between a political party and a pressure group, and the difference is going to come at the level of this our definition. Is the objective that the political party has that makes it different from a trade union. For example, we are saying here that the political party has the objective to acquire and exercise political powers, but a pressure group, their objective is never to acquire power. They have different objectives, as we are going to be looking at. So the objective of the political party is clearly to influence the government policy and decisions of the government, and their objective go as far as trying to replace the government that is in power, take power from the government that's in power, and then do the same thing that the government is doing in their own way that they think is preferable or is better to them. So the political parties, as they exist, so many of them in Cameroon, their objective is to do what? To acquire and exercise political powers. Now, what are the major activities? How do they participate in the political life of the state? Number one, political parties are being designated by the constitution to do what? To participate in election. And so they participate in election, be it local election, presidential election. They also participate. They are the one who nominate candidates, and then they nominate candidates for election, and then they take or they engage in various activities to promote their ideologies so that people can have confidence in them and then vote them to take power, and then begin to apply their policies that they presented during their campaign. So I also like you to know that political parties are not only limited to operate only within the state. For example, we cannot say, for example, since you know of CPDM as a political party, it's a national party, and then it does not mean that all parties are limited to operate only within the state. Their area of competence vary. The area of competence of a political party will vary. There are some that operate within the state. There are some that operate out of the state. They can operate internationally. And there are some political parties that operate only within limited territory within the state. For example, in Cameroon, there are some political parties that exist that you don't even know. Why? Because they are operating at just limited territories within the state of Cameroon. Then the main political parties now that are mostly participating in election are the one that you know. Okay, so for example, we can look at the example of the European Union. The European Union is a party that it operates out of the state. It does not only operate within the state. It operates over, like, out of the state as well. Why there are some political parties, like I said, there are some political parties that will operate only within the state, and some will even operate within limited territories in the state. Okay, so now I would like us to look at this aspect. How did political parties come about? How did political parties come about? The first point to note is the concept of political parties emerged during the 18th and 19th century from Europe and North America. So it is not our invention, it is their invention. And this notion of political party came as a response to the need for organized opposition to monarchies and authoritarian regimes. Now, over time, political parties evolved to represent diverse interests, ideologies, and demographics. So, political parties is not a thing of Cameroon, neither is it a thing of Africa. Political parties came from the North America and from Europe, and it is their invention, and then we just copy it from them. And today we have political party in the various states or countries of the world. All right, we'll look at the difference between a political party and a pressure group. For example, like a trade union. The major difference between a political party and a pressure group is just the objective. It's just the objective. You know, we can be doing the same thing, but our motive are different. The reason behind what we are doing is different. So the motive or the objective that the political party has is what makes it different from a pressure group. What is that objective? Their objective is to obtain power, to acquire political power, and through election they should win. They should acquire political power through election, and then they should control, like take power from the government and then exercise the power in the way that they think is better. That's the main objective of a political party. Now, what about a trade union? What about a pressure group? A trade union is just an example of a pressure group. Where, for example, we can say examples of pressure group. We have the trade union. We have the teachers trade union, for example. It's another pressure group. The teacher and lawyer trade union, and many others. We are going to look at it. Now, on the other hand, pressure group, they focus on specific issues of interest. They don't want political power. They don't want to become the president of the republic. They don't want to become members of parliament. All what they want is to mount pressure on the government that is in power to do something that they think is going to be good for them. For example, you have the teachers trade union. They had to mount pressure on the government. Why? For the government to increase their salary, because for a long time the government has been owing teachers salary, and then talk more of the fact that the salary was small. The government was small to that, owing their salary. So you see, they had to form a trade union in order to pressure the government to reinstate their salary and even increase their salary. That was their motive. So you see that such thing, they were not out to take power from the government, that you, the principal of Lycée Tukebe, you will be the head of state, you the vice principal of, you will be this. No, they came out to pressure the government in order for the government to please them. So that's just the objective of trade union. In Cameroon, we have trade unions like Green Cameroon. We have trade unions like Cameroon Human Rights Association. We have trade unions like Cameroon Workers Union. We have trade unions like Cameroon Confederation of State of Trade Union. We have trade unions like Association for the Defense of Women's Rights. We have trade unions like Cameroon Environmental Watch, and we have trade unions like many others that exist. So now we're going to be looking at the functions of a political party. What are the functions of a political party? What are they out for? What should a political party be doing? We are going to analyze it in steps. Political parties, they play a vital role in a democratic system, and their functions can be broken down as follows we are going to have the governing function, the electoral function, the representative function, the lawmaking function and policy making and goal setting function, the recruitment and participation function, and then we are going to analyze this in details. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to analyze the 5 functions of political parties in details. All right, starting from here. Governing function. How do they govern? The political parties, they make it easier for the creation of a government. This is because the government is being formed from political parties. For example, the government is made of the judiciary, executive, and the legislative. And the legislative, they are the members of parliament. They are being voted from different political parties. Members of the government, ministers, they also come from different political parties appointed by His Excellency the head of state. So we can say they give stability to the government. Political parties usually collaborate between 2 arms of government, the legislative and the executive. So that is the legislative, they make the law. Executive, what do? They execute the law. Okay, then the judiciary are there now. They are there for justice. They are there to interpret the law and inflict punishment on those who break the law in accordance with the law. Now, political parties, they provide a very important criticism and opposition from within as well as out of the government. So, for example, we have here we are talking about opposition parties. CPDM is the party in power. SDF is there. MRC is there, and CPRN is there. They are there like that. They are opposition party. They provide criticism. They criticize the government that is in power. They are not supposed to do this. You will see very soon Maurice Kamto will come and say this is not correct. This is, if I'm voted to be president of the republic, this is what I will do. I will do by like this. So they criticize. As a result, they ameliorate the government in power. They see that for the people to continue trusting them, they need to do more. And the opposition, they keep on criticizing, and if they gain power, they'll always fight so you see there is competition, and it's an important role that political parties, they play in the life of a state. Oh yeah, now after talking about the governing function, let's look at the electoral function. The political parties are being created by the space for creating political parties is being opened by the constitution in order to accompany elections in the country. Yes, so now for instance, elections, if they are not political parties, we are equally not going to have elections, because elections emanate from political parties. You get, it's the political parties are the one taking part in an election. So elections, first of all, is a very important aspect of any democratic society. Every democratic society, they depend, the political life of any democratic society depend on election, because in democracy leaders are elected. Okay, in democracy, the famous American president Abraham Lincoln defined democracy as the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. In democracy, the government comes from the people. The leaders are elected by the people. But in dictatorship, leaders are simply appointed. Yes, the monarchy simply appoints the leaders, but in democracy, leaders are elected. Now, electorally, the electoral functions of the political parties, they also select candidates for election. They offer funds and services, especially during electoral campaign. They provide a variety of choices to a common man, to a common Cameroonian. You now have, you remember there was a time Cameroon was just a one party, we had just a one party system, but today we have multi-partyism in Cameroon. So with the coming of multipartyism, you have many political parties that you can vote for during elections. So as a result, you have a variety of choices as a common Cameroonian citizen. Now, political parties, they make politics reachable to citizens because when they come out for campaign, as a result, as they are doing their campaigning, as they are criticizing, politics draw closer to the people. The common Cameroonian has an idea of what is happening, what actually politics is all about. So they bring politics reachable, they make politics more reachable to the citizens, which is a way of transparency, a very important aspect of the political life of a society. Yes, now let's look at the representative function. The political parties, they play an important role in representation. So we attempted to say that the representative function is the most essential function of a political party. They are there to represent the interests of the people. So as the day you decide to join a political party, when you go and join CPDM, you are indirectly saying that since I cannot be president of the republic, CPDM go ahead and represent me as president of the republic. So they play a representative function. They, whether as the winning or the ruling political party or the opposition political party, they are there to represent your interest. They, even if they don't win in election, even if they remain as opposition, they still represent your interest. We are going to see that political party, the country is not only being ruled by the party that win the election. If as President Paul Biya is in power today, it's not only CPDM that is ruling the country. So we are going to see into it. So we can really say that the coming of multipartyism has been a blessing to Cameroon. Thanks to SDF through the national chairman Nijon Frundi in around 1990, when his party was very influential at that time. He did a lot of things that are remarkable. So today we celebrate Nijon Frundi as one of the highest democratic icon that has lived in Cameroon, because his impacts are, even though he is no more, his impacts still live beyond. So there are a lot of political rights you enjoy in Cameroon today thanks to SDF, thanks to Nijon Frundi, who came up with his party around 1990. It wasn't easy at that time because Cameroon had just a one-party system. When the party was launched, there was a struggle that led to the killing of 6 people on the spot. 6 people died on the spot, and so many people were injured. But today we are celebrating because there are a lot of political rights, there's a lot of a democratic right that you enjoy today that you don't even know. It's through this lesson that you will understand that some of those things wouldn't have come if not for some of those struggles. Now, we'll also be saying that citizens, they choose the political party to vote for. And how do you choose? There are many political parties. Why do you choose CPDM over SDF? Why do you choose MRC over SDF? Why? You have your preferences. Like, these people, the way these people, I think these people are better. So as a result, you choose. Excuse me. You choose based on your preference. I mean, you choose based on what you like. Like the party you desire them to be in power. So as a result, you are choosing those who will represent your interest. Political parties, they make policies, and then the policies are being made with respect to the need of the people. So they know that we are representing the interests of these people. These people, if we are in power today, we are in power to represent the interests of these people. As a result of this, we need to, when we are making policy, we make policy with respect to their need. Now, another function is policy making and goal setting function. The political parties, they are one of the agencies through which the people of a country can attain their goal collectively. um through a political party, you people come together and then you attain your especially political and civic goals. Parties develop and promote policies and then they influence government decisions. Political parties, they make policies and then present the policy to the masses. Who are the masses? The population. They make policies and they present the policies to the population, who in turn vote for them to gain power and implement these policies. All right, we are still on the functions of functions of political party, and this time around we'll be looking at the recruitment and participation function. During campaign, during election, during electoral campaign in modern democratic society, most campaigners are always members of the party. They take members of the party, and what they do, they employ them, they recruit them, they pay them to go out there and campaign. They as a result, in this kind of country, in this kind of a community where there's unemployment here and there, at least some of the people will have something to do. So they have a recruitment and participation function. Parties, they encourage engagement and participation in voting. When the parties, they come out to to campaign, they encourage you to vote. They encourage you to vote. Why? Because there is a situation, there's a scenario known as voters apathy. What is voters apathy? Voters apathy simply refers to a situation whereby a citizen refuse to vote. They shy away from voting. And why? Because they feel like whether they vote or not, the decision is not what they will get at the ballot box. They believe that the decision they will have at the end was already prepared long ago, and that whatever they go and put in the ballot box does not represent what the result is going to be. So they shy away from voting, they stay in their houses, and we call that voters apathy. But now when political parties, they go out for campaign, they encourage people to vote. They encourage people to vote, and they encourage them to know that whatever they decide at the ballot box is the result that they will have. So by the time you people decide the ballot box, I'll go and put this, I'll vote for this, I'll vote for this. At the end, the result is going to, if not, the leader that will be elected can never boast that he or she is the true democratic leader of the people, because you were voted by the few people who came out and voted. The others, they stay back in their houses. They say, I want SDF to win, I want MRC to win, but you are in the house. You want MRC to win. You are in the house. Is it in the house that we want people to win? You have to leave your house. Go to the voting center where you have your name appears. Go there and vote. That is your political right. Go and exercise your political right. Vote. Now, vote and come back. Any decision that you take there is going to it is counted. Your choice at the ballot box counts as far as election is concerned. So if you come back, if during election people come out in their numbers and vote, then we'll have a true result. We'll have a legitimate legitimate leaders who were voted by the majority of the people. But if you sit in your houses and you don't vote, at the end of the day, the few people who go and vote, the result will come out to favor them and may not favor you. So that is just it. We continue. Political parties, they enable you to participate in the political life of your country, which I've already mentioned. Political parties, they organize policy making training, and they impact members with information. They impact youth with skills. Now, after talking about all these function, shall we now get into the type of political party, where I'll be saying there are three types of political party. We have the allied party, the mass party, and the mixed party. I repeat, there are three types of political party: the allied party, the mass party, and the mixed party. So shall we begin with the allied party? The Allied Party is also known as the Cadre Party. So either we call it the Allied Party or the Cadre Party. This is a party that is dominated by the elites. Who is the elite? Who are the elites here? The elites are those highly influential people in the society. So the elite party, the elite political party, they go after those influential people. They go after those rich people, those influential people in the society, like influential businessmen, engineers, a doctor, professor this, professor that. They go after this kind of people. They are the kind of people that they really have a position within the party. We call this kind of party the elite party. And what is their objective? The reason is they believe that the elites always have influence over the population. For example, the elite in your village, there are many times that you may have to do something simply because you a particular elite in your tribe or in your region has said that he thinks it is good. So because of that, you feel like, no, I will do it. If it is Professor this that is saying so, me, I go do am. So you see, the elite, they always have influence over, especially in decision making, over the population. So if traditional rulers, if those elite people, those cadre members of the society, those professors, if they are for you, for your political party, they can easily convince their fellow countrymen in order for them to follow your party, for them to vote for you in time of election. And then their second objective is that those influential people, they have the money, so they will be able to easily raise funds during their project, for them to easily complete their projects. So such a party is, it has a very complex structure, a hierarchical structure. That is to say, if you are not wealthy, if you are not influential, you may not really have a position within the party. Yes, your interest may not really be considered within the party. So it's true, the political parties, they are there to represent the interests of the people, but here your interest may not even really be represented if you are not really that elite. You understand? So now the second type of political party we'll look at is the mass party. But now, before we look at the mass party, is there any elite party in Cameroon we can think about? Yes. For example, the CPDM is more of an elite party. Yes. The CPDM is more of an elite party. When you look at the CPDM political party, it's true that even the common man is a member of the CPDM. Yes. But now when we look at to a greater extent, it is more of an elite party. CPDM is made up of more of those influential people than the masses. Now, the second type of political party we'll be talking about is the mass party. Here, they go after the masses. They go after the population. Their interest, their focus is to galvanize as many people as possible into their party. And why? Their objective is that they will be, during election, they will be able to gather votes from many people. So they call it mass party because it is a very vast party, a party made up of so many people. Whether you are who or you are who, you can be a member of that kind of party. So this kind of party is, they have a more representative function than an elite party, because the elite party may only represent the interests of the rich. Oh, yes, but here in the mass party, everybody's interest is considered, and they will be their interest is that they should have more votes in order to gain power and exercise, in order to have more, they should have more members, so that during election they can gather more votes. That's their objective. So like I said, the mass party always have a more democratic structure, while the elite party has a hierarchical structure. The structure is in order of hierarchy. Yes, in order of how many how much money you have in your bank account, how many cars, this barrister, this magistrate, magistrate, those are the kind of the people we call elite. So but mass party, they have a very democratic structure more than that of an elite party. In a mass party, the decision making power is distributed among all the members. That means no matter who you are, you can make a decision. Like you can be involved in decision making, but it's not the same thing when it goes to an elite party. Then in Cameroon, if you look at the SDF, the MRC, those are examples of mass party. They are more of mass party than an elite party. So you take note. Then let's go to the US. If you look at the case of the US, the Republican Party, yes, the Republican Party is more of an elite party. Then the Democratic Party is a mass party. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And then we are going to continue with the last type of political party, which is the mixed party. Here, this is when a party uses the two approach that we have mentioned to gain members. Whether you are influential, they go after you, they go after those influential people, as well as they also go after the common man. So when they use these two approaches to get members, we call that party a mixed party. And then this kind of party always have a very strong leadership structure, no discrimination. It has a high degree of internal democracy. This kind of party have a broader range of voters. We have this a kind of party that has the highest number of people because it galvanizes both the elite and the masses. Then this kind of party, they are pragmatic. I hope you know the meaning of pragmatic. They are pragmatic in their approach towards politics. Okay, we can also have some other type of parties like the national party. Like I mentioned that CBDM, those SDF, those are national party. These are, when we talk of national party, these are parties whose competence, they have competence and influence in multiple regions in the country. So we call them national party. For example, the CBDM, for example, the SDF, for example, the CPRN, for example, the SDF. For example, those are national parties. We can also have regional parties if they have a strong influence and a strong presence in a particular region. There are some political parties that you don't know you about until today. Why? Because their area of competence is limited within a particular municipality or within a particular region or city. We can also have an ideological party. This party is formed based on specific ideology and political philosophy. So such party we call it ideological party. Then we are now going to also talk on the single issue party. These are parties that are formed due to specific issue or due to a particular cause. So like something just happened, and because of just one thing that happens, a group rise up that no, they are not supposed to do things like that, and as a result they form their group. Now at the end they form their political party. They have become a political party. But how did it come about? It was formed because of something that occurred, because of a particular issue that came up. As a result, they form a political party to address that issue. Now we'll look at a splinter party. What are splinter parties? From the name splinter. Splinter party these are parties that are formed by a breakaway group from an existing party. For example, let's look at the CBDM, which is a very big party in Cameroon. For example, if something happens within the CBDM that some of the members are angry and they decide to leave, maybe they can come out like that in a big number and decide to form a new political party. Like it would not be a subgroup under CBDM because they have come out from CBDM and now they have formed a new political party. That kind of party is known as a splinter party. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, shall we now look at the struggle for political powers by political parties Yes, the struggle for political power is a fundamental aspect of politics. Parties employ various strategies to gain power, and some of these strategies may include electoral campaign. They nominate candidate, they develop platform, and they organize campaign to gain the interest of the people so that they will vote them during election. Now we will talk of coalition building because political parties they form alliances. They form alliances with other parties to achieve goals. If they have a collective goal, they have a particular something they want to achieve, they can form an alliance in order to achieve such goals. Yes. Now let's talk on policy compromise. Political parties they negotiate. Sometimes they negotiate and they come to a compromise on certain policies, and then they achieve. Though they take those policies to achieve mutual benefits. Yes. Shall we look at the case of Cameroon? Cameroon's political landscape is characterized by a dominant party system with the CBDM holding power since it was created. CBDM was created in 1985. Remember, the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, gained power in he became President of the Republic of Cameroon in 1982. Yes, at that time under the CNU, Cameroon National Union, CNU, a political party which was the lone political party in Cameroon. Then in 1985, CBDM was created by and it was launched. National Chairman President Paul Biya. It was launched in Bamenda at that time in 1985, and then from then till today, we have more than 200 registered political parties. Now, it is also important to know that during Ahidjo, the time of Ahidjo as President of the Republic, Cameroon had only one political party. As from 1972, Cameroon left from a multi-party state to a one-party state under Ahidjo. So since that time, we were under a one-party state. One. We had first of all KNDP, CPNC, CUC, we had UC, all these parties came together to form one political party known as the CNU. Then that CNU was the lone political party in Cameroon until 1985 when it was being changed to CBDM. It was not a new party created, it was just a change from CNU to CBDM. The party that was created now in 1990 was SDF. Now, after 1990, with the creation of SDF, Cameroon went back to multipartism. Remember, multi means two or more. So when Cameroon had two parties, now it became a multi-party state with CBDM and SDF, with the national chairman of SDF being Mr. Nijon Frondi. And like I was saying, now we'll discuss some political parties in Cameroon. We'll always start with the ruling political party. Yes, the ruling political party, CPDM, the Cameroon People Democratic Movement. CPDM is the ruling political party that is led by His Excellency President Paul Biya. We also look at the second SDF. Yeah, we'll look at SDF, Social Democratic Front, with the national chairman John we will say Joshua Osif, the presidential candidate for SDF. But SDF was being created by Nijon Frondi in 1990. CBDM was created in 1985. Then 5 years later, SDF was created. Then we have MRC, Cameroon Renaissance Movement of Maurice Kamto, the national chairman. We have UDC. UDC is headed by Amadou Damjoya. We have NUDP headed by Bello Buba Maigari. Now, I would like you to know that CPDM, SDF, MRC, these are political parties that are going in for political election for presidential election come 2025. So take note. We have the UPC of Pierre Balaguel-Court. We have FSNC of Issa Chiroma Bakari. We have CPP of Edith Kawala. We have PCRN of Cabra Libi. And we have many other political parties. Now, let us talk about the way forward for a more democratic political life in Cameroon. To promote healthy political competition and democratic government in Cameroon, it is essential to strengthen the institution. Which institutions are we talking about? One, the electoral institution, ELECAM. Two, the judicial institution. So if the institutions are strengthened, like let's say institutions like ELECAM, institutions like the judiciary, that is the courts, if they are independent, that means there will be no partiality. Then politics in Cameroon will be more transparent. I think we are also going to look at the role that the political party they play in the life of a state. I think we have mentioned some of them already. And I would like to still use SDF here as another example to explain a lot of things. When with the role that opposition parties they play in the life of a state is that they form the government and so on, and then they also mount pressure on the government. Political parties they mount pressure on the government on policies. They even influence government policy and the decision of the government that is in power. For example, if you see that the Prime Minister of Cameroon is always an Anglophone. The president is a Francophone and the Prime Minister has always been an Anglophone. Is because of the pressure that was mounted on the government around 1990 by SDF and the crisis that SDF was championing at that time. And the Niger Frondi insisted that this position should be left for the Anglophones to occupy. So if not, we won't have had that privilege today, maybe in Cameroon. We am not sure we would have had it. For example, decentralization we are enjoying today in Cameroon, it came through the 1996 constitution, thanks to the influence or the pressure that CBDM mounted on the government for federation. Remember, we're first of all in a federation. In 1972, through a referendum, Amadou Ahidjo changed the thing to a unitary state, and we have been in a unitary state till today. And as a result, as they were SDF was pressuring the government for refederation, we should go back to our federation, but the government saw that no, instead of federation, let's just go to decentralization. And it means decentralization wouldn't have come if SDF did not ask for federation. So you see, it's the ELECAM that we see today, and it is SDF that the mounted pressure on the government that SDF that ELECAM should be created as an independent body to manage elections in Cameroon. As a result, today we have ELECAM, and then we are still trusting God for its independence. But to a greater extent, ELECAM is almost independent, and the President of the Republic is charged with the independence of the judiciary. So if this institution if the institutional framework have